Greetings, everyone. It's Glennie at the Chilton Public Library with another book chat. And today I thought it would be interesting to feature some of the items, highlight some of the items we have in our Black Authors Black History collection. And today I thought I'd try my Vanishing Country, which is a 2020 memoir by Bakari Sellers. I found this really, really interesting. You may have heard of Bakari Sellers. He's a CNN TV news analyst and rising political leader. At the age of 22, he was the youngest elected state lawmaker in the country, a race that he prepared for while he was still in college. Years later, he ran for lieutenant governor in South Carolina, his home state, in hopes of becoming the first African American elected to statewide office there since 1876. Anchored in Bakari Sellers' hometown of Denmark, South Carolina, My Vanishing Country illuminates the pride and pain that continues to fertilize the soil of one of the poorest states in the nation. He traces his father's rise to become a friend of Stokely Carmichael and Martin Luther King, both civil rights heroes, to explore the plight of the South's dwindling rural Black working class, many of whom can trace their ancestry back for 7 generations in their area. Now, family trauma, even inherited family trauma, can take on a tremendous toll on children. But as Bakari Sellers makes plain in My Vanishing Country, family trauma can also be a source of strength. And the greatest influence on his life was an event that occurred years before he was born, when his father, Cleveland Sellers, was imprisoned on trumped-up charges for his role in the Orangeburg Massacre. The what? The Orangeburg Massacre? I've never heard of that. Have you heard of that? February 8th, 1968. The fact that many people have not heard of the Orangeburg Massacre is in itself an excellent reason to read My Vanishing Country. Sellers meticulously recounts how and why 8 South Carolina Highway Patrol officers fired upon a crowd of Black students protesting at South Carolina State University, killing 3 students and wounding 27 others. The massacre affected every member of the Sellers family, including the yet unborn Bakari. Though they each still bear the painful effects of that event, their trauma has also become a source of power, the power to endure tragedy and achieve their goals. My Vanishing Country is also a love letter to fatherhood, to Sellers' father, whose life lessons have shaped him, and to his newborn twins, who he hopes will embrace the Sellers family name and honor its legacy. One of his children is named Stokely, after this man, Stokely Carmichael. This is another fascinating read by Peniel E. Joseph, Stokely, A Life. Peniel E. Joseph is a historian and is also the founding director of the Center of the Study of Race and Democracy at Tufts University. Peniel Joseph tells the story of this man's fascinating life. He was dedicated, Stokely Carmichael, to racial justice and equality and the reimagining of America's purpose, destiny, and soul in the 1960s. His intellectual, thoughtful mind is really quite remarkable. He lived from 1941 to 1998. Civil rights leader Jesse Jackson called him one of our generations who was determined to give his life to transforming America and Africa. He was committed to ending racial apartheid in our country, and he helped to bring those walls down. Julian Bond, NAACP chair, said that Carmichael ought to be remembered for having spent almost every moment of his adult life trying to advance the cause of Black liberation. Peniel Joseph writes, Carmichael's greatest legacy on the national and international stage remains his role as a political educator. His gift for fashioning a coherent intellectual vision out of disparate political and cultural traditions made him, like the jazz musicians that he admired, a master of improvisation who found no contradiction in his ability to draw lessons from Malcolm X, Fannie Lou Hamer, Ella Baker, and Kwame Nkrumah. This book, Stokely, A Life, is as relevant a read today as ever it has been. I highly recommend. And then in reading A Vanishing Country, Bakari Sellers does mention that Martin Luther King was friends with his father. They were both activists back in the 60s, marching and working hard for justice for all. And it brings me to this Parting the Waters. Taylor Branch is a remarkable author he studied for 20 years before he put together this 3-part series. This first one, it's a narrative history of the civil rights era. All 3 of them are. And it won the Pulitzer Prize and numerous other awards in 1989 when it came out. Compelling, masterfully told account of Martin Luther King's early years and his right to greatness. And then these here also are award-winning. Let's see if I can get this up here for you. Also very, very remarkably written. This and this. We have all 3 of them here at the library, available to check out for those of you willing to take a real deep dive into the history of the civil rights era. All 3 books still remain in demand and are considered, a lot of colleges, universities use them, very important works. So stay tuned for more book talks on the Chilton Public Library webpage. Scroll coming along weekly. We'll be trying to feature every week or 2, every 10 days, a book chat. We're still figuring out the timing of releasing them, but stay tuned. We will know shortly, and take good care until we see you again. All the best.